Hi, welcome to this week's Thought for the Day. Last Sunday I went out to church without telling Debbie whether I'd fed the dog or not. I hadn't had time to feed her, if I'm honest, but I did tell the dog to tell Debbie that she'd not been fed. Debbie said it wasn't long after I'd gone when she realised the dog was standing completely still, staring at the spot where we usually put our food whilst it's soaking. The dog hadn't said a word or even made a sound, but it was perfectly clear what she wanted. She wanted her breakfast. In the world of dog training, this skill is called indicating and is an important part of scent work training. I call it silent shouting, and I find it amazing what the dog manages to tell us without being able to speak. I was reminded of that story when I read the opening words of the psalm set for today. Psalm 19 says, "The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims his handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words. Their voice is not heard. Yet their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world." The psalmist says that, like our dog, the heavens are able to say something to us without being able to speak. They somehow inspire us and speak to our inner being. There is great beauty and complexity on display in our night skies, particularly in the really dark skies that we get here over mid-Wales. There's the moon, the stars and the planets, but there are also meteorites and comets, galaxies, star clusters, and nebula where yet more stars are being born. On a good clear night, we get a partial edge-on view of our own galaxy. It appears as a milky band of light stretching right across the sky, and is therefore known as the Milky Way. What appears to us as a smudge of light is actually hundreds of billions of individual stars clustered together in this tiny region of space. As if that were not enough, observations with the Hubble telescope suggest that there are around 100 billion galaxies in the observable universe, each one just as complex as our own. The scale of it all is hard to comprehend, and yet all of this complexity came from the singularity that was the Big Bang, which, by the way, was neither big nor made an audible sound. As the psalmist says, there is a message in the heavens for all to hear, or at least for those who take time to ponder what they see with their eyes and think about the awe that it engenders. When humankind first went in search of proof of God, they started to look at the world around them. They reasoned that if God created the universe, then they would find that it followed a pattern and behaved with mathematically predictable precision. This is indeed what we have found through centuries of scientific observation and measurement. The universe is amazingly consistent and elegant in its behaviour, and yet everything is incredibly finely balanced. If there was only a tiny variation in the way the laws of physics work, then the universe simply could not exist. That would mean that the Big Bang would have been nothing more than a momentary flicker in an infinite nothingness. Not only would there be nobody to observe the universe, but there would also be nothing to observe. For many people, the awe that they feel when thinking about the size and complexity of the universe speaks to them of a higher power behind the universe. Often that's where it ends. They acknowledge the existence of that higher power, whom we call God, but the universe is unable to say any more to them about the nature of that higher power. But surely, if a higher power exists, does it not beg questions about the nature of that higher power? Is it not something you want to find out more about? For example, What sort of relationship does that higher power want to have with the universe? Is it benevolent, malevolent, or just indifferent? Was the involvement of a higher power limited to the moment of creation, or is it an ongoing involvement? If it is an ongoing involvement, then what evidence do we see of that involvement? That's where human experience comes in, particularly as documented by the thousands of years of history encapsulated by the Bible. It records humankind's gradual growth in understanding about the nature of God, a nature that Christians believe is most fully revealed in the historical figure of Jesus Christ. If you want to know more, then the news is good. In fact, good news is what the word gospel means. The human experience of God, as documented in the Bible, shows us that God has been deeply involved throughout human history and wants nothing but the best for us. My prayer for you today is that you may take inspiration from the heavens above, that you may hear their silent shouting, and that, having heard it, you may go deeper so that you come to know God with the love and closeness that God always intended. If this thought for the day has inspired you to find out more, we'd be glad to have a chat with you, or you'd be welcome to come along to one of our discussion groups. Just look us up on the Bro Arwistly page. The groups are called Puzzling Questions and are an informal way of exploring those questions you always wanted to ask, the very questions that the universe asks of us. May God bless you all. See you all again next time.